You know, you would think that after being about 6 episodes deep into this, I would finally have figured out how to introduce the show. Whether or not I want to start off by being loud and, hey, welcome to Book Smart Lifetime. You've made it to episode number 6, or something more, reserved and contemporary and talking, lower and slower and just introducing what day it is that I'm recording this and things of that nature. I don't know. I still go back and forth in my head, and I sit here for about 10 minutes before I record trying to string together my notes and my thoughts, but also just how I want to introduce the day. It's interesting. I don't know. I think it's just a byproduct of caring about the things that you're working on. This past week, I've actually been pretty. Actually, you know what? Before I even get into me, let me ask about you. How was your week? Was it a good week? Was it a good time? Did you experience the wackadoo weather of the Midwest where it was 70 degrees one day and then it was snowing the next day and the snow actually stuck to the ground? Or were you out experiencing, just life and enjoying everything that comes with it? I know what I've been enjoying this past week, and I didn't really see it coming, but I actually got back into playing the World of Warcraft again, just kind of in my off time in small, like random bursts, which that game isn't really known for. That game is definitely known for something that can be an absolute time sink and can encompass a lot of time in your day, for several days. But for me, taking it in moderation and taking a game like that for about an hour at a time, it's been a real good time. And thinking on just what I wanted to talk about this week, and honestly, that game being the only thing that's really changed for me in my weeks, in going back, I think 1 or 2 weeks now, it actually led me down a path thinking about the first time I ever played the World of Warcraft. When I was 9 years old, my family moved from outside of Cleveland, Ohio, out to Hawaii. I promise this is going somewhere. When I lived out there for the first handful of years, I will say, as much as a 9-year-old can feel it, I definitely felt out of place. A lot of the friends and the people around my age around me were into a lot of different things, than I was into at the time. Whereas, I was typically just into what, is popular on TV and, playing outside, but in a different way, like how a kid goes out and plays out with sticks. Whereas like a lot of the different activities just surrounding where I had grown up out in Hawaii were mostly just like outdoorsy types of things. Hunting, fishing, camping, all of that. So playing outside was a different story for kids that had been born and grew up there. Some years had passed and I had made some friends, here and there around the time, and go out and hang out at their houses, or, we got really big into like airsoft, I remember, and we would do that with our weekends. But notably, I made one friend. His name was Justin. And he and I honestly, I feel like this was the first friend I've ever made in my life that was on the same wavelength as me, ever. Like, two people that were from completely different backgrounds and worlds as far as everything, but just completely in sync as far as the things that made us laugh until we cried, the videos that we would laugh at in the early days of like YouTube, the movies that we loved, and the video games that we shared. One of those being him introducing me into the World of Warcraft. I would say I spent multiple weekends back to back at his house, doing sleepovers, when you're younger and you're at that like sleepover kind of age. And we would spend entire nights just playing that game, taking turns on his characters. I remember one time we were spending the night at Justin's place, and we were playing WoW, and I think it was like half-hour sessions back and forth. And it was stupid late at night. He's like, I remember I sat down and I started playing. I was like just following like a quest line or something like that. And he goes, "All right, wake me up when it's my turn." Something to that effect. Or it's like, let me know when it's my turn. And I'm like, all right. And then like I look down, I see that it's been a half hour has passed. I turn around, I'm like, all right, man, your turn. And he's full on snoring, passed away the hell out. And we still laugh about it to this day. I haven't talked to him in probably, I want to say about a year. I think it's been about a year since the last time I really talked to him, but we still check in on each other. I mean, this is a friend that I think probably one of my longest friendships ever. I want to say I was 13, 14 when we first met. And honestly, being friends with him was like a gateway to showing me a lot about what other kids my age got up to growing up where we did. Whether it was like where to go hiking or, you know, when like the school basketball games were happening and who's going where and just like all these like, I don't know, like it's hard for me to put together like a short, brief like summary as to what that feeling is or like what these introductory moments are for you when you're in your like adolescence part of your life. But I know that like my time there would have been significantly different if he and I hadn't become friends. I don't know. It's just something that kind of like crossed my mind lately. Just trying to think about, you know, what are we going to talk about? I put a lot of thought into what I want to sit down and talk about, but also from like a standpoint of is there a topic I want to deep dive on, or is there an experience or a period in my life I think is worth exploring a bit more rather than just kind of keeping it stored away for a brief memory, right? And I know it's like a lot of like just like, oh, when I was younger I did this and I was into that and but at the same time these are things that I haven't thought about in, I want to say like 10 years, you know. I mean, I'm 30 now, you know. I had actually 10 years ago I moved away. Holy crap. Yeah, 10 years ago I moved away from Hawaii. I came back to the mainland US. I moved out when I was 20 and I lived with my father, who lived in Florida. And that's where I started my journey into music and touring and things like that. And then I moved back to Ohio, taking it all full circle. I want to say it was after the pandemic. It was definitely after 2020. I don't think I've lived here for 6 years, maybe 5. I think this is my 5th winter. This is either my 4th or 5th winter now being back up here. I'm sure that I could scroll back in my phone into like my text messages and find conversations where I'm talking about moving and coordinating packing and all that, and probably could figure out exactly what you're actually. I probably, you know what? I'm going to keep talking, but I'm passively going to go back into me and my mother's text messages, and I'm just going to see if I can't arrive on when her and I talked about me moving to Ohio and what those plans looked like and what that time looked like. When I moved up, I did a what's it called? I did a shipping container, and I was just fucking terrified that all of my stuff was going to break. But I also drove a much smaller car. I drove a much smaller car at the time. I couldn't like pack as many things as I wanted, but I could definitely put in the essentials. I could put into things that was like, I need to oversee exactly how this gets there. My life was definitely a lot smaller around that time because I used to rent out a bedroom. The apartment I live in now, I've been in here for 3 years. This is the first like time I lived by myself. This was the first time I ever got to have a space that I called mine. But it was also the first time that I had to furnish an area. And I mean, thankfully, with some hand-me-down furniture and the help of my mom, I was able to at least get some stuff filled out. I still don't have a dining room. I usually will eat my food at my desk while I'm working on something because Lord knows I can't not be productive and not like just work on something. I can't let myself rest. Or in the rare chances that I do want to let myself rest, I'll hang out in the living room and just use the coffee table as like a dining table. Something like that. I don't know. It's simple. It's just me, you know? It's like, I don't need it. I don't need everything to be easy peasy, breezy, beautiful, and amazing. And, I need to have, you know, a nice dining room table with matching chairs and all this other stuff, or a chandelier, like whatever things that like I think of when I think of like people who like own a home, people who want to furnish their entire lives. Like I don't have like a 19 set dining room, living room, family room, like all cohesive, like furniture set. You know, I have a couch that belonged to my mom, which is a part of a sectional. I don't even have the whole sectional. I just have the part that would fit in my apartment. And I'm just completely happy with that. I've slept on that couch and it's comfortable. Plenty of people have stayed here and used that couch to sleep on at night, and it's comfortable, you know. But it's not like anything looks bad, you know. I don't know. It's one of these things that growing up that I'm just diving into. I feel like on a semi-daily basis where I have to sit here and wonder how how anybody gets to where they are in life. And what are next steps? Is there a book out there written of how to grow up and how to manage all of it? And you quickly find out that there isn't. You quickly find out that it's not linear. You know, your goals for your life last week, 2 weeks ago, a month ago could change tomorrow. I mean, I've been selling my old car for like a month now, and it should have been sold by last week, but because things keep getting in the way and people have lives and your life intermingles with other people's lives, that keeps changing, which then further pushes down everything I needed to use that money for, which then further pushes down X, Y, Z, the other step A, step B, step C, etc. And it's like, it's not even anything to be mad at. It's just how life goes. Sometimes you want to go make a cup of coffee to start off your day. Sometimes your coffee maker just doesn't turn on. Now the plans have changed, you know? And it's these things and these parts of life that just feel so stressful, though, and difficult. For me, especially. The ebb and flow of trying to structure your day and have like a mental itinerary of how it's all going to go, and really trying to keep that structural and rigid, but then the first person throws a wrench at it and it starts to crumble a little bit, and you have to rebuild it with the pieces that aren't broken and try to make the same statue. You have to look back after you've rebuilt the statue of your day and just have to sit there and tell yourself whether or not it looks good, I did my best. And hopefully for you, your best is the good enough that you're seeking. I know mine is, but that definitely is also a mantra I've had to take on for a long time. The mantra being, always do your best. That's the only thing anybody could ever expect of you, is just to give things a fair shot. And so I do my best. Sometimes my best isn't good enough. Sometimes my best doesn't measure up to unrealistic expectations, I should say. However, I could take satisfaction and solace and peace in knowing that I actually tried, which is not where I thought this episode was going to go at all. I can't wait for the patrons to see the pictures from my notebook and see that over half of the episode was not in the notebook at all. Speaking of patrons, though, last week we did launch our Patreon. To briefly go over what that would even get you, is that at the $2 tier, you are going to get these episodes on Friday. The Friday prior to the Monday that they come out. The edit is going to be a bit more rough on them, but you basically are getting these episodes minutes after I finish recording them, straight from the horse's mouth. At the $5 tier, you get the ability to submit questions for a monthly Q&A that we can do over here, as well as other benefits that may just kind of just like sporadically be handed out in extras. And then at a $10 tier, you get the access to do live listens, where I would sit in our community Discord and record these episodes live, which usually takes about a half hour, 45 minutes, and just be there just quite literally as the fudge is made. To not have a to for lack of a better term, how that fudge is made. What I will say is that everybody will still continue to get this on Spotify and YouTube. It'll keep coming out on Mondays. That's never changing. I don't like when people introduce paywalls or ways to support that change the core functionality of a product or the release schedule of a show, or just basically change what people liked about what it was originally. I don't like that. I think that's silly. But I sit here and I think about what can I do to thank people for supporting this, but at the same time, keep it as close to what it originally is supposed to be as well. And I think I arrived on a good thing. I think I arrived on a good way to do that. Oh man, what else has been going on this week? I mean, so playing WoW, I'm thinking about my childhood. Apparently I've been doing my best. I would also say that, you know, aside from those three, I've just also been working on Show. And falling more and more in love with the idea of to editing audio and giving people the tools that they need to use the most of their imagination to imagine a scene. Last week on Show for the intro, I basically laid out like a heist plan as fast as I could. Kind of like similar in retrospect. Now I'm thinking similar to I want to say, is it Michael Pena? Somebody from it's the friend from the Ant-Man movie where he's going over like a recap of like what happened the last couple of days. Basically doing that, but for a heist. And then I took that and I turned that into the intro of the episode, put in like some music in there and then intersperse some sound effects. I definitely could have done a little bit more after I listened to it back after the episode had come out a few more times afterwards. But the whole process was fun. I was sitting and talking to one of my friends while I was making it, and she could tell you that I was crying hysterically every single time. It was like laughing so fucking hard every single time that I was doing anything with that. And every sound I added in and everything kind of like fitting together like a freeform Lego set that you didn't pre-plan, but it's working out anyways. I'm realizing that my favorite analogy to use is building something is when you have to do something as a concept, something with your brain. I always seem to put it into an analogy that involves working with your hands. I mean, it's good, and I think it's a good way to use that analogy because I think everybody can imagine that. I think everybody's built a puzzle. I think everybody's built Legos. I think everybody has tried to make like it. I mean, willingly, like if you had like access to it, like everybody's tried to build a sandcastle, right? Or something similar. So I think, I don't know. I'm just like, it's something I just realized I've been doing for years. I don't know. And I'm realizing I also say, I don't know as a crutch. Something about talking into a microphone for around a half hour every week just lends you to learn more about yourself, I guess. It's funny. I would like to add on that I have been continuously scrolling backwards, loading these old text messages from my mother. I'm only back to about May 24th, 2025. And I'm like glancing at these text messages and I'm getting glimpses into like what my life was back then. Like how like the similar to well, no, I guess, yeah, it would be like this time last year. I was working at a Starbucks last year for my birthday. My mom. To cut off what I was saying, my mom sent me a screenshot from the Twitch app. I guess she was trying to see if I was streaming. It sent me a screenshot of me laughing after having thrown a slice of Kraft. What is this? A slice of Kraft Single, you know, those cheese slices, onto my bald head. Did that for show at some point last year. Wow, I'm looking. I didn't even realize, and it's like slowly clicking for me. We've been doing show for so long. I mean, it was way back. I mean, we had been doing it for a while at this point too, way back in May of last year. What else am I seeing in here? There's a video from the Metallica concert I got to go see. Me complaining about audio editing, but I also didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't know that DaVinci Resolve has plugins. I didn't know they had plugin support. So I've been doing a little research and finding more things that help me out and finding tools that I enjoy using. I think plugin support for a lot of these just makes it so much easier. I've been working with OBS, which is the primary program that people use to live stream on like, things like Twitch or like YouTube Live, etc., TikTok. I've been working with that for like 13 years now. And I didn't start using and checking out plugins until about halfway through. The sheer amount of tools that are out there based on other people's imaginations and creativity lend so many more paintbrushes to use to fill out your canvas. It's so cool. People make cool stuff. I've got to be honest with you. I think that's going to do it for me this week. Be sure to check out patreon.com/bookdumb to check out all of those different Patreon tiers. Also, be sure to check out, I don't fucking know, the World of Warcraft, I guess. That's going to do it for me this week. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. I hope you have an amazing weekend after that. And I hope the week previous treated you exactly the way you deserve to be treated, which is kind and kind. I guess we'll go with that. I'm having a really bad improv day. I'm finding out. All right. I'll talk to you all next week. See you then.